massive fan of 2 hour sprints. Huge fan, right? Big fan, biggest fan ever. 2 hours, long enough to achieve something, short enough to stay focused. Punchy, sharp, great. Now, whether we are speaking in mixed metaphors, for me, what you've just done is you've given that particular consultant an output and an input, right? So fundamentally, the output, by the way, just work with me for a minute. The output may be 2 world-class rock stars that you want to present to a client, right? So that's what you're going to do, right? You're going to get 2 brilliant profiles that at the end of your 2 hour sprint, or if you've got them during your 2 hour sprint, you're going to phone your client up and say, those 2 slots in your diary, I've just filled them, right? Because we don't send CVs and that sort of stuff. We don't do that, right? That's an output. You then went on to discuss the input. So that's the what. You then want to discuss the how. The how was, how are you going to do it? Well, I've got a list of 20 interested parties. I've got book calls. I've got, whatever that looks like, CRM, LinkedIn, mixture of both. In its essence, what you've done is you've given them 2 hours to get 2 CVs out by contacting 20 people. That's a KPI. That's a KPI.
Did you just lose me then?
You just turned your camera off. I thought we were sulking.
Oh, no, there's someone calling me about how to do a 2 hour sprint.
They should be halfway through their first one. Right, okay. So
look, the only thing is, I love a KPI because at the end of the month, you actually look at what people are actually doing to look at skills analysis. So I would look at, you're sending a huge amount of CVs out, but you're not getting any interviews. Right. So that's either 2 things. You're sending dog shit out the door, or you have zero control over your candidates.
Right. So Gary, what you do is you go into businesses and you analyze those better than anyone else, right? You go into those businesses and you spot the gaps. And those gaps you say, phone Trevor, he'll help you close those gaps. That's how we exist. That's you and I exist, right?
Yeah.
And the most important number for me that you look at as a sales leader at the end of every month are the ratios. How much of A does it take you to achieve B, right? So Johnny's sitting there, Johnny's making 80 new business calls a day and he hasn't picked up a logo all month. So we know Johnny's working hard. We've spotted the ratio. So all we do with Johnny is we say, Johnny, show us your data list. Who are you calling? Let's listen to your calls. What are you saying? We can fix Johnny by that ratio. It's perfection. Not enough sales leads, sales floor leads, business owners take notice of their monthly ratios at the end of the month and then drive coaching in the following month to improve their people. There's not enough of it going on.
Okay, but I begged your knowledge on that because I thought they all did. We've just done a massive, so I set up on top of 30, sitting alongside the CEOs of 30 odd businesses, sit on top of my ego, right? So we've been talking about baseline a lot recently. Yep. So over the last 12 or 16 weeks, whatever will give you a decent and a very realistic average, how many age jobs per person, how many CVs to those jobs, what's the average value of a customer? And then you look at your conversion rate, so jobs to placement, it's CVs to interview, it's interview to placement, it's looking at your runners rates and how much, then again, it's how much money you spending on candidate acquisition and how much money you spending on client acquisition. So if we start now to think more creatively as to say, we've got so many jobs on, we haven't got enough candidates for, if we were to spend some more money in our business, you go then back to look at your KPI to say, so we've just spent another $5,000 a month across the business. We've got 10 recruiters. Everyone's doing 1.5 deals at 15K. So they're doing 22.5K. If by spending another $5,000 as a business on candidate acquisition, will everyone then go from 1.5 deals to 2 deals? Because that's the logic that makes sense. But then we look at the people who just take our investment and they say, thank you very much. You just make my job easier to do 1.5 deals. And they don't improve.
Then it comes back to driving those people throughout the sprints during the month in the right way.
That's why I think sprints work better than KPIs. You only use KPIs when you're sitting with your FD or you're sitting with people at the end of the month. It's the killer drivers, 2 hours, 2 hours. A lot of people are doing 1.5 because I think there has been some psychological studies about people's concentrations and maximum efforts. But I want people to come to work and just say, just in between a sprint, go for a pee, make a coffee, say hello to your mate, do what you want to do, and ask me anything that you need in that window. But once I start the clock, and there's a lot of people got the proper clocks in the office, which I love, by the way. They say the minute we start that, we are absolutely. That's why I hate sales days, because every day should be a
sales day, of course.
So you have multiple sprints because you'll just get there faster.
I agree. I agree. But I agree. No, not but and I agree. And I agree with sprints. I'm a wholehearted fan, right? In my business, when I sit at my desk as a recruiter in the afternoons after I've coached in the morning, I sprint 100%. But there has to be something. There has to be a level of achievement that I need to achieve in that sprint. Be it 5 prospects. Be it I speak to 5 prospects. Be it I send. I don't know, be it I'm on a marketing sprint, I'm on a digital sprint, be it I send out 50 really decent pieces of individual content to prospects in my marketplace. But there are still numbers that are hung on what I do, because I've got to understand what good looks like. I've got to understand, have I achieved or haven't I? By the very nature of me putting numbers against a sprint, I'm executing against something that looks like a KPI. Call it whatever you want, I don't know, but something that looks like that. So once again, we're probably agreeing on this, but coming at it from different angles.
Okay, and that's the joy of this stuff.